Hello and good evening back to IIRL's Twitch channel. Season is very much underway and we are already at round 3. How time flies when you have fun. Brand new week of streams here on the channel this week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday as per usual. Just waiting on a couple of drivers to join the lobby. We are technically early, so that's good. It looks like we'll be doing short quali. Just getting a few things ready. I'm actually lobby host for some reason. Ross wasn't ready, so I just did it. So I'm now on double duty. Evening Flu, how you doing? Right, I think we are going to get going very, very quickly. Very shortly even. I hope you guys are all well. I hope you've had a brilliant week last week. I hope you've had a nice start this week. Whatever it is you've been up to, whether it's work, school, college, and so on and so forth. This week we are at the beautiful Portimão circuit in the depths of Portugal. Of course, one of the newer tracks to be released on this game, so people might be slightly out of practice, especially as I'm sure every single person went out on time trial in Portimão when it came out, and then after a month or so probably didn't touch it for a while. It'll be interesting to see if that muscle memory is coming back to the drivers here tonight. Evening Tucker, how you doing? Yeah, just waiting for the session to start. As we say, 4 streams this week. 12 in the no assist tonight. Bit short on numbers. But we are getting into that point now where spring is here and very much amongst us certainly from where I am in England. So barbecues and stuff, I'm sure people are going to be having lots of barbecues nice and soon here in the UK. As a result, numbers may fluctuate slightly. It is a short quali session, which means there is no knockout. It is just wherever you finish in this session, that is where you're going to be on the grid. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream tonight as a result. Love this track, says Tucker. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it as well. I know not everyone is, so I won't rave about it, but I do genuinely like this track. I think it has a nice flow to it. Tricky corners, uphill, off-camber corners, long corners, short corners, long straights, short straights. It's got everything, and hopefully wanting to get on with it, taking charge in terms of track position. Everyone out on the track with the exception of Majestic. And Flu is taking us on a tour of the track. Massive long straight, reaching speeds of up to 200 miles per hour with DRS activated, and towards turn 1 very quick, and turn 2 not really much of a corner, sets you up for turn 3. Again, easy to miss the apex, as Flu is demonstrating for us there. Turn 4, tricky to add, easy to run wide, very tricky corner. You get DRS, bit of a blast down towards turn 5, which is one of those very short and slow hairpins. Back on the power up towards turn 7, which is this right-hander here, which sets you up into 8, and that is a very tricky corner. We've seen many a driver spin and lose the rear at that corner there, so watch out for that tonight. Through turn 9, it's the double right, that is turn 10 technically, into 11. Pick your throttle application on the engine for turn 11. Easy to lose it through another slow corner, turn 13, and corner which reminds me of Indianapolis, turn 14. Hit the apex and run it out wide. Swoop the car through this final turn 15. It is flat out and straight to the line, and Flu sets the benchmark of 1 minute 17.9. I'm just going to message someone and tell them to leave. Oh, Hyper, nice little slide there, caught it. Which, not easy, so to catch it did really well there. I've just told this PUR Marth guy to leave, because he isn't part of our league. Oh, Hyper is off, and camera angle we had, he went into turn 10, but didn't come out of, he went into turn 8, but didn't come out of turn 8. Dayman goes 5th, 118.2, that guy's currently fastest on a 117.9. Flu's 117.9 is putting him second place as it stands. Padge is on an invalid lap. Marth is coming into the pits, hopefully to leave the session. Probably would have got the shock of his life, realising that it's no assists. Very easy to accumulate time penalties on this track, so watch out for that over the course of the whole week, whether you're watching multiple streams this week or just the one. Time penalties are very common. Tucker's gone ninth fastest, 118.9, just behind Kemmets, although Kemmets is using medium compound tyres. 3 drivers out there on the yellow mark medium tyres. Padge has invalidated again, and Hyper is again off the track. Hyper is adapting this season to no assists, so before everyone starts to slag him off in your own head or in the chat, just getting used to everything. Takes everyone a bit of time to get used to changing the assists and settings on your car. Hatch comes into the pits. Ripley's disengaged DRS, so he's not on a fast lap at all. And so has Tucker. Prev's invalidated his flying lap. So therefore we'll go on board with Kemmets. 2 rounds into the championship, and this is how it looks in the standings. Ross is on 42 points. Last week we had the sprint race format. He got 2 points in the sprint race for finishing second, and the full 25 points for finishing first. Whereas in Bahrain in round 1 he got a 3rd place finish. So he is at the top with 42 points. Whereas Ryan, he has 2 second places in Bahrain and Imola under his belt, plus an extra point for finishing 3rd in the sprint race last week. He's on 37 points, only 5 points off the top, so it's pretty close at the start of the season. Here comes Kemmets now, starting his lap in the Red Bull this season. He's on a 1 minute 18.9, which is set on the medium tyres. Those soft tyres will be a little bit quicker, possibly around 7 or 8 tenths. Hyper has retired in the pits, so he'll start last on the grid. Fingers crossed Marth's car won't be there. Kemmets is half a second up through Sector 1, so a nice little bit of improvement from him there. Should set him into Ross territory in terms of lap time as it stands, but of course still plenty of track for him to gain time on. Very much could see Kemmets challenging that guy here for provisional pole. Taking a nice wide line through the double right there of 10 and 11, and it seems to be working for him. 1.1 seconds up. That is going to put in provisional pole as it stands. But we have a whole host of drivers out on the track. We've got 9 out right now, 6 of which are on out laps. Here comes Kemmets to the line and goes fastest by 6 tenths. 17.3. What about Ross? What can he manage? Ross, our featured driver this evening in the McLaren, teammate with Tucker. We'll tell you a little bit about Ross in 5-minute break. We would ordinarily do it in Q1, but seeing as this session is going to get a lot more frantic in the next few minutes, we won't tell you about him just yet. Ross a few tenths up in the first sector. Kemmets had more of a gain on his personal best through Sector 1, but Ross's lap time is 4 tenths quicker than what Kemmets did on the mediums, so I'll have to wait and see what Ross does through Sector 2. It's 6 tenths up, which is going to drop him into around the 17.9s as Ryan goes second fastest on a 17.4. Very close at the top there between Clements and Ryan. I'd say we probably are expecting Ross to be up near the top, so don't be surprised if this isn't in the top 3. And it's fourth fastest, 1:17.9. Still plenty of time for him to push into that top 3. Speaking of top 3, there goes Wiggles, shooting his hat up into the third place position slot. 1:17.7 for him. Oh, and going over turn 1 is spinning, thankfully not out. That guy, I did see him equip the mediums, but didn't know if he went out on them. That is confirmation, he is out on those yellow marked medium tyres. Prev goes third fastest on a 17.4 and puts his name into the hat for a possible podium, for a possible pole position here tonight. Dayman is invalidated too. Ripley hasn't, but he has disengaged ERS, I believe. So he could be coming into the pits. Or just starting a new lap. Here we go. Flew and Tucker both on outlaps. Clements and Ryan both in the pits. Padge also in the pit without a lap time to his name at this moment in time. Ripley a couple of tenths up on his best. We'll put him ahead of Tucker into 9th as it stands. Still plenty of opportunity for Ripley to put his Mercedes further up the field. It was a good battle between Dayman and Ripley, the Mercedes teammates, last week in Imola. Wonder if we'll see any more of that this week. 6/10 gain through sector 2. Ripley will be hoping for a mighty last sector to drop him into perhaps a 1:17 lap time, ahead of his teammate perhaps. And that invalidation has lost all of his hard work, unfortunately for him. 3 drivers out on track. Tucker is out on the mediums, interestingly enough. Flew is out on a flying lap and just missing out on his personal best in sector 1. Thank you for the follow, Derek Jackson 72. Appreciate that, man. How you doing? Let us know in the chat how you doing. I like that camera angle through turn 8. You can really see when the driver's wrestling the car, fighting the back end, trying to keep that car in step through that corner. It is an art coming out of turn 8 with the car not getting oversteer, but still going very quickly. Flew 32, unsurprisingly with 32 on his car. He's backed off his time. 4 minutes left, so still an opportunity for him to box. Put a new set of tyres on. Here comes Tucker now. He's deciding to ditch those mediums as well. So Padge, Dayman, Ross and Wiggles all on outlaps. It's anyone's guess for pole. We're expecting Ross to be up there. Wiggles could be up there too, and of course those top 3 are extremely close to each other as it stands. And hello to you, Magic, in the chat. Hope you're well, mate. Flew the number 1. I guess on the new game, because Max Verstappen has taken the number 1 car, you can't be number 1 anymore. That'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I've heard a bit of a rumour that we were all expecting the next F1 game to be cross-platform. I think it's going to be like an add-on, an added-on DLC. The cross-platform. I could be wrong, but that is the rumour I've heard. Fingers crossed we do get the cross-platform, I think it would make it a bit more entertaining. Mr. Wiggles, a couple of tenths up in Sector 1. Needs a couple more tenths if he wants to challenge for the front row of the grid. Everyone out on track now, with the exception of Flew, who has retired in the pits, and Hyper. Dayman goes 4th fastest ahead of Wiggles, which means Wiggles needs to keep this lap valid. He is still 2 tenths up through Sector 2. As Ross goes fastest, there you go. We did say he was going to be somewhere near the front, and there you go. He's shown his hand. With 2 minutes left of the session, Ross takes the lead of the lap times and provisional pole. What can Wiggles do? He is a couple of tenths up through Sector 1 and 2. And he goes 8 tenths up through the final sector. Wow. He found some real pace in that last sector. 4 tenths now. Wiggles has a grip on pole. What can Kemmons do? He's starting a new lap. Ryan through Sector 1, he's 2 tenths up. So improvements are everywhere through the field. Expect to see those lap times tumble. There goes Tucker across the line to start his new flying lap. I was going to say fastest lap, but he hasn't done one yet. A Mercedes coming round to finish their lap time. That's going to be Ripley, and he improves to 9th fastest. Just a fraction away from Flew in 8th. 4 cars coming round the final couple of corners now. Could be a very jumbled order in the next 10 seconds or so. Here comes that guy in the Aston Martin, coming round to finish a lap. Or start a new one. And what can Ryan do? It's 2nd fastest. It goes ahead of Ross onto the front row, but not into the 16s and not troubling Wiggles as it stands. Wiggles now into the pits where he will finish his session. Kemmons now goes 2nd fastest on a 17.2. Nice lap there from Kemmons. Displaces Ryan on the front row of the grid. It is super close there between 2nd and 5th, and here comes Padge for his one and only run, flying laps, and he goes 7th fastest. Nice lap there from Padge under pressure. Session has finished. Pressure is now on. We have Ripley, who has backed off his time. He won't be able to improve. Tucker is also on a slow one, so no improvement for him. They're going to start 10th and 11th respectively on the grid for the race. That guy's on a lap and is improving. Could jump up to 6th here if he goes past Dayman. And he goes to 5th fastest ahead of Prev. Nice lap there. Ross goes 2nd fastest. Just saw that in the background. One at 17.1. Ryan is on a slow lap, so no improvement for him. He's going to start 4th on the grid. Dayman is invalidated his time, so no improvement for him, and neither for Prev, which means all eyes on Kemmons perhaps. No, he's on a slow lap too, so could that be all she wrote? Has Mr. Wiggles pulled an insane lap time out of the bag? Yes, he has, and he has gone pole. Mr. Wiggles raced 49 times last season and only got 51 times last season, sorry, and only got 1 pole position. And it's just taken him a handful of races this season to get his first pole of the season. So congratulations to Wiggles. Ross will be on the front row. Them two tearing it up in F2 right now in the Constructors. So these two know a lot about each other right now. Kemmons and Ryan very close to challenging for the front row, but they will be 3rd and 4th on the grid. That guy in Prev is an Aston Martin row 3. Again, not too far away from those front runners, so watch out for them in the race. Dayman 7th, and Pajestic with the 1 run is in 8th. Flew is in 9th, and Ripley rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Those top 10 will all start on the soft tyres they used to set their fastest lap time. Tucker in 11th and Hyper in 12th will all have a free choice of tyre. Marth was someone who wasn't supposed to be here, so left. First pole in NA, I think, says Mr. Wiggles. Well, congratulations for that. We did say 51 races last season and 1 pole position to your name. You've achieved that 1 pole position in a lot fewer races this season, so congratulations to Wiggles. 2 pole positions in IIRL. Five-minute break now for the drivers, just to prepare themselves for whatever they need to do before they set off for the start of the race. In a few minutes' time, we'll tell you about our featured driver Ross in the meantime, though. There's a lot to tell you about Ross. He does a lot here. He wears a lot of hats in IIRL. He's 22 years old, comes from the UK in a little place called Leeds in the north of England, if you know where that is. He's using a wheel, a Fanatec V2.5 base, a V2 wheel and V3 pedals. Again, as every week, I have no idea what that means. It's just all gobbledygook to me, but hopefully you guys find that interesting. His favourite F1 driver is Lewis Hamilton, and favourite track is Japan. Have to be honest. I mean, I don't mind the Japan track, but I've not met many people who's their favourite track, so respect to him for that. As for season aspirations, I gave them a list of things to sort of like say, okay, this is where I'm at. He needs to win, basically, is what he told me. So, yeah, certainly Ross is winning the championship, so has definitely got all the tools to win this season. Last season, in no assist and assist tier 1, he finished runner-up in the championship, so I'll be hoping for one better this season and take away a championship of some description. He's a no assist tier 1 and F2 driver. He's manager of the league, co-manager with myself and Pajestic. He's a dispute steward. He chats a lot in Discord. He's the owner of the league. So yeah, he does wear a lot of hats, and you will see him knocking around in Discord quite a lot. And as for his strengths on the game, he says race pace, not crashing, not getting penalties, and strategy. So yeah, with a list of those tools, you'd certainly expect to see someone challenge for the title. Yuki style. Yeah, we put that featured driver in slot just so you can get to know the racers, the people behind the gamer tag, as it were, instead of just seeing a gamer tag every week. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Thank you for the follow, TFS Schumacher 99. Appreciate that. We've gone past 340 followers now on the channel, so appreciate that, guys. Thank you for all the support. And yeah, if you ever fancy racing in IIRL, wonder if you could be out there on the track, featured driver perhaps on one of the streams, let us know either in this chat right now, send us a whisper on Twitch if you know how to do that, or yeah, message me on Xbox, the SunGod26 with spaces. Big fan of Suzuka, 2 very underrated tracks, says Damon. Yeah, very underrated. I think it's very tricky. I think with the curbing issue they had, either on the last game or this game, I think it was last game, there was horrendous curb issues, which sort of put people off the track. But I think this game is a little bit better for the curbs on that track. Prost and Senna, oh, who can forget 2 years in a row, the Prost and Senna rivalries crashing each other out. Fingers crossed doesn't happen in IIRL later on this season. We will be heading to Japan in a couple of months' time. 13 race calendar on the road to the next F1 game. This is round 3 in Portugal. Round 1 in Bahrain. Esteban Ocon took the win. Last week, AMS Fairley won the sprint race and Ross won the feature race. As for constructors, it is super close at the top. Genuinely, 4 constructors within 5 points of the top. McLaren 42 points, Haas are on 39, Red Bull 38 and AlphaTauri 37. So this is going to be a long season in terms of the constructors. Round 1, Red Bull had a storming first race. Haas had an amazing round 2. AlphaTauri scoring 18 in round 1 and then 19 last week, so they are very consistent. But McLaren are winning it at the moment, so watch out for any of those 4 teams during the race. So as they head out on their formation lap, this is the grid. Just check in. Yeah, Marth is ghosted, which is good. Fingers crossed that doesn't ruin anyone's race at all. So all the top 10 on the soft tyres, as we know, using a worn set, the same set they used to get to finish on their fastest lap time. That might have been their first lap time in the session, it could have been their last lap time in the session, but whichever lap time their fastest one was, that same set of tyres they are using in the top 10. As for Tucker, he's using the mediums, as is Hyper outside of the top 10 too. Marth won't be counted on these standings, don't worry guys, so if Hyper finishes 13th and Marth 12th, will bump up Hyper to 12th. "33 laps. Bit short on numbers, but fingers crossed we're not going to be short on action. Don't expect to see as many safety cars as normal. With less drivers on the grid, that's not going to be too much of an issue. Instead, I'm sure these top 5 or 6 drivers are going to be very close for a long portion of this race. Tyre strategies are going to be an interesting one. You can do a soft medium, but your tyres will be dead at the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see if anyone goes on to a 2-stop. Interesting to see if Tucker and Hyper are doing a 1-stop as well, or whether anyone on those top 10 will move from the soft to the hard tyre when they served their pit stop. So here we go. Round 3 in Portugal is underway, and it looks like Kemmets behind Wiggles has had a good start. Ross 2, decent start from him. That guy's had an absolute flyer. He's passed Ryan and alongside, around the outside now of turn 1. Ryan just squeezing ahead of that guy and is side by side now with Kemmets, who seems to have a poor turn 2 but stays ahead in 3rd. Ripley's had a good start. He's alongside his teammate now, just behind the 2 Aston Martins, so lots of inter-team battles going on in the early portions of this race, and Ryan is effectively tailgating Kemmets through turn 6 and 7. We have that guy going wide in turn 7. Seems like everyone's got off the grid pretty much perfectly. Wiggles and Ross pulling a bit of a gap now on third and fourth, and these Aston Martins are still going side by side throughout the whole of lap 1. Prev looks like he's got a bit of an advantage here, but that guy stays in it. These two going super close, bit of wheel contact. Still side by side. I think this possibly could be a record in IIRL for how long two cars have been side by side in the same team. They're still going side by side. That guy's pulled along in front and now is proud holder of 5th place, but under pressure now from Ripley, who has had a fantastic start. He's up to 7th and looking very eager to get past those two Mercedes power cars in front of him. There's Ripley looking for a move on the inside of Prev, who I have described previously as one of the best defenders in IIRL. Seems like that side-by-side racing has taken its toll perhaps on that guy. A 3-second time penalty in the first 2 laps. Ryan is now past Clements up into 3rd. He's got a bit of a gap if he wants to close in on the top 2. He is 1.5 seconds behind, which means when they cross the line to start lap 3, he won't have the effects of DRS after turn 4. Flew is challenging Ripley for 7th, still holding on to the back of that Mercedes car. Hadge is also holding on to the back of a Mercedes also. He's trying to battle Dayman for 9th place. We've got Ryan defending from Clements, that guy, and Prev, all within a second of the car ahead, which means all will get the benefit of the DRS. But Ryan will not have it. You can just see under braking how much DRS makes a difference. Flew down the inside of Ripley into turn 5, makes the move stick. Nice move there from the Frenchman in the Italian car. Out in front, Wiggles leads Ross by 0.6. Ryan is trying to get that 1.6 second gap down to within a second so he can get some DRS and take the pressure off from Clements and that guy behind him who do have DRS. Hyper is into the pit for the 2nd time this race. Tucker is on the mediums, so he will not be as quick during the first few laps of this race, but interesting to see if his strategy can bring him back into the race in the second half of this evening's race. Ross seems quite content now not to make a move on Mr. Wiggles. I mean, he might be close enough out of turn 4 here, but a bit of a slide there out of 3. And it's just cost him a few tenths, which means he can't get that gap down close enough to make a move on this occasion. Of course, the more that Wiggles and Ross try and use DRS to their advantage, the more that Ryan is going to get sucked up into this battle behind him instead of focusing on those 2 cars which aren't too far ahead, to be honest, but do need the DRS down that main straight. So it makes a massive difference to your race. Gaps starting to appear in the first couple of laps. Gaps starting to fall in the next couple of laps. And again this lap, more gaps starting to form between drivers. Here comes Clements as the rear wing open. See how quickly he's gaining, but it's not quick enough. We'll have to settle for fourth, sorry, through the first couple of corners. Hyper with a time penalty. And this Mercedes rivalry now continuing. Dayman on the back of his teammate Ripley. Still early days in this race. One mistake can cost you. Hyper retires in the pits. Oh, Ripley, wide line into 14 there. Caught Dayman off guard a little bit. Looked like he cut across him, but I'm sure that wasn't his intention. Here comes Ross. Will he go for the leads? He does. And he takes it. New leader of this race on lap 6. These two have a 2-second gap on Ryan, who is occupying the final podium slot, but you can see behind is under massive pressure from Kemmons. Wiggles retaking the lead down the inside of Ross at turn 5. Perhaps these two want to try and use DRS to their advantage and pull away from this pack. Ross taking the lead back from Wiggles, so join this battle for the leads. Seems to be hotting up at the moment. Wiggles, nice exit out of 14 there. Keep it flat in 15, level off the steering. Don't want to put unnecessary pressure on your tyres. Ryan is gaining. He's only 1.5 seconds behind these two out of the final corner. Wiggles a little bit wide there through 1. He's let Ross back through. Doesn't want to go onto the track and cause an incident, get a penalty from the steward. And in the blink of an eye, that 2-second gap to Ryan is now reduced to 1 second. Ryan is really pushing on these soft tyres to try and close that gap. And the more that Wiggles and Ross fight each other, the more that Ryan is coming back into this fight now. And it is now a 5-car race for the leads. Did say on the formation lap, expect to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing. Dayman is in 11th, has had a slight mistake. He was behind his teammate for 8th, but has dropped about 10 seconds or so, so maybe a spin for him. He's got a 3-second time penalty onto his time at the end of the race. And Wiggles, beautiful exit out of 14. Very much could see another change of the leads. Into the pits comes Ross. Blinking first is the McLaren driver. Wiggles does have DRS because he was within a second at the activation point just before turn 15. So he wasn't under threat from Ryan down the main straight, but Ryan here be touch and go if he's got DRS, and he doesn't. Kemmons could now be within a shot of what is now 2nd place. Ross has come out of the pits behind his teammate Tucker in 11th place, and Ripley is off the track at turn 3. He's back on now, and that is Ross behind. Ross will be hoping that these 3 cars ahead of him won't hold him up too much. Badge with a time penalty, 3 seconds for multiple warnings on track limits. Into the pits comes Wiggles and Kemmons. So Ryan stays out for another lap. That guy following suit, as does his teammate Prev. Both of them on potentially identical strategies. probably would have expected one of them to come into the pits by now, but both of them opting to stay out, possibly going soft medium for the remainder of the race. Ross passed his teammate Tucker. Mr. Wiggles comes out in second place, once everyone has pitted, that is. As we expected him. Clements has come out behind Tucker here, so a little bit of a small obstacle for Clements to get past before he can challenge Wiggles for what will be second place once everyone pits. And the more that he can't get past Tucker, the more that Wiggles and Ross are going to pull a gap. That gap is already 2 seconds now between Wiggles and Tucker, so Clements needs to get the hurry up past this McLaren. Ryan pits, that guy stays out, as does Prev, so possibly both of them working together on a strategy that will help them out here. Clements is past Tucker, but he's now 3.4 seconds behind Mr. Wiggles, and I'll tell you what, Ryan could get a nice little jump coming out of the pits on Clements, who has lost a bit of time. There goes Clements on the right hand side of the screen, and Ryan is out way ahead of him. Ross is past Dayman, who is yet to pit. There goes Wiggles out of turn 4. Systematic move, I'm going to call it. Straightforward and elementary. Up into 6th is Mr. Wiggles. That guy leads from his teammate by 2.2 seconds, Flew, and Majestic yet to pit in 3rd and 4th. 3.5 seconds behind Prev is Flew, and Pad is 7 seconds behind Flew in 4th. And I think Dayman has had a bit of an off in Sector 2. Wiggles challenging Ross. Interesting, Ross is on the mediums, possibly for the remainder of the race. Mr. Wiggles is on a new set of soft tyres, which means he has to make another pit stop. So Mr. Wiggles here, with a new fastest lap of the race, takes 5th place away from Ross, which will be the lead once the top 4 have all pitted. Ross, of course, can go to the end on those set of tyres if he's careful. Doesn't want to repeat the puncture he got in Bahrain in round 1 from just tyre wear towards the end of the race. I think it was the penultimate corner he got a puncture on, so he doesn't want to repeat that again if he can avoid it. Battle for 3rd we saw earlier between Ryan and Clements is now reignited, this time for 7th place and 8th place, and Clements almost losing it out of turn 8, but good car control there to keep hold of it. He has lost a bit of time to Ryan, but still plenty of time to come back at him. Clements maybe doesn't like those mediums, struggling a little bit, has dropped out of DRS range now of Ryan, so perhaps Ryan will be aiming to close in on these top 2. Flew is into the pits from 3rd, puts on a set of the hard compound tyres. Damon's also into the pits after a couple of moments on this stint. Flew comes out of the pits right behind Tucker, who is yet to pit. That guy in Prev still out on track, on the same set of softs they started the race. Gap is 2.7. That guy leads, but he does have a time penalty, which will hinder his progress at a podium here tonight. Padge is in third and still yet to stop. He's 13 seconds adrift of the top two. And these two, Wiggles and Ross, are closing that gap now to Majestic. That guy into the pits. Probably expect to see him go on to the mediums, as he does. Probably for the rest of the race. So he's on an identical strategy here to Ross, but he has a few more laps of tyre advantage come the end of the race. Majestic pits, which means that Wiggles and Ross now are promoted into second and third. Ryan has had a bit of a moment. He's lost some time, and as a result that guy has jumped the pair of them up into fourth. So it's a mighty stint there from that guy. He's up into fourth place now, gaining a lot of places off the start. I think it's 2 places. It'll be interesting to see where Prev filters back into the field after his stop. I have a feeling it might just be behind Kemmons. Into the pits comes the race leader, Prev. 13 laps he's completed on those soft tyres. He goes on to a set of the mediums, I'm sure. Indeed he does for the rest of the race, copying his teammate, that guy. Mr. Wiggles, new fastest lap of the race. Interesting to see where Prev is going to come out of the pits. Here is Ryan and Kemmons on the right hand side of your screen, and there is Prev just missing out on 4th or 5th place there, but not too far behind these two. That guy now has quite a solid claim here for a podium. There goes Kemmons into 4th. Ryan is in 5th, despite what your timing screens say. There we are, he's back in 5th. And Prev, not too far behind in 6th place. He's top 6, providing some really good racing for us at the moment. Mr. Wiggles leads Ross by 1.4 seconds. That gap is slowly increasing. Wiggles does need to make another pit stop though. Of course, if a safety car comes out, Wiggles could be in some luck, as he does need to make another mandatory pit stop. Ryan struggling out of turn 14 and 15 here, and here comes Prev up into 5th. Nice move there. Straightforward. Does go wide a little bit at turn 1. Probably would have got a warning for that, as Ripley, another warning for him. He's got a 3-second time penalty now. He's down in 10th place, occupying the final point slot ahead of his teammate. Tucker still yet to pit. Started on the mediums. Expect to see him stay on those tyres until possibly lap 21 or 22. So he's still got a few more laps to go on his tyres. This is the closest battle on track between Prev and Kemmons. Prev seems to have got his strategy very nice at the moment. He's got 4 or 5 lap fresher tyres than Ryan behind and Kemmons in front. So Prev has the tools here to get his Aston Martin up into the top 4. He does have DRS. That red flashing light at the back of Kemmons' Red Bull means that he is preserving energy and quite low on electrical supply as well. So Kemmons has been using ERS to try and maintain a gap ahead of Prev. Runs wide in turn 4 does Kemmons. And it seems like Prev is putting that Red Bull under a lot of pressure at the moment. Wiggles leads Ross by 2 seconds. That guy is in third and does have a time penalty of 3 seconds. He's 5 seconds behind the top 2. But that guy will keep on the podium due to Kemmons being 3.5 seconds behind that guy. This is the fight for 4th with Prev in 5th, and Ryan is dropping back actually quite a long way. He is dropping back. I wonder if Ryan perhaps has some damage that we don't know about. Because we know Ryan, he's not this slow. So there might be some damage going on there. Either on the underbody of his AlphaTauri, or maybe some front wing damage that we don't know about. But he is 3 seconds behind Prev. Flew is on the hard tyres for the end of the race. As Tucker pits for the first time. 16 laps on those mediums. And he goes on to a set of hard tyres for the rest of the race. So we're expecting one more person to pit in this whole race, and that is Mr. Wiggles. He must pit, has done 2 stints on the soft tyres, and he should be coming into the pits in the next 2 or 3 laps. So watch out for that. Kemmons versus Prev for the 13th or 14th time this evening. And here goes Prev down into 4th place. Has got the move done very nicely there. Will Kemmons fight back out of turn 4? Prev, such a good exit out of turn 3. Just gave him a couple of tenths that has actually hindered Kemmons from making a move into turn 5. Good driving there from Prev. Mr. Wiggles leads Ross by 3 seconds now. That guy's 4 seconds away from Ross, so that gap has come down by a second or so. Prev is up into 4th and 4 seconds behind his teammate. If he can get within 3 seconds of his teammate, he will jump ahead onto the podium due to that guy's 3-second time penalty. Kemmons is in 5th and still holding on to the back of Prev. Definitely looks like Prev has some good pace at this portion in the race. Ryan is dropping slowly back, and in a few laps might be in the clutches of Flew in 7th place, who is 3.8 seconds behind Ryan in the AlphaTauri. Padge is in 8th place, having a nice race, and has a nice healthy gap on Tucker. Padge starting in 11th place, he's up 3 places up into 8th now into the points. Good race from him. Tucker on a new set of hards, has fresh rubber to burn, but has a dayman behind him, pressurising him for 9th place. Ripley's in 11th, pitting in the last couple of laps. Here comes Dayman. Can he get close enough to Tucker? Not on this occasion. Dayman's had a nice couple of corners to start this lap, and he is pretty close to Tucker. Bit wide, into the pits comes our race leader, Mr. Wiggles. Expect to see him go onto medium tyres. Mr. Wiggles comes out of the pits behind Ryan. And possibly behind Flew as well. Those two are super close going into turn 1. Mr. Wiggles is out in 7th, but has a new set of rubber on his car. So, the question is, Wiggles is 21 seconds away from the lead. How close can he get to Ross in the next 13 laps? The second a lap will put him possibly on the podium. He does need to get past these cars ahead with great haste. Haas versus Alfa Romeo for 6th place. Mr. Wiggles thinking about it. The inside of turn 11. Wiggles is certainly getting very close here, and definitely tell he has the pace here on Flew. A couple of times had to back off to avoid contact. He has lost around about a second to our race leader Ross on this time round, as Ryan pits from 5th place. Ryan going on to a new set of medium compound tyres. Indeed, Ryan is changing a front wing. I did wonder if he had some damage that we didn't know about. There is confirmation. That is good news for Mr. Wiggles. He's up into 5th place now. Kemen's a little bit wide there out of 11, and so close to losing the rear end on throttle on the exit of that corner. It's not been the most exhilarating race we've ever seen, but it has been certainly interesting with strategy. Certainly people doing the same strategy but pitting at different times in the race has left them slightly vulnerable at times, with the likes of Kemen's getting overtaken by Prev, who had a mighty first stint. We've got Wiggles on a 2-stop. Ryan is also forced onto a 2-stop through damage. Wiggles now sets a new fastest lap of the race. There's a 1:19.2. The race record here is a 16:8, so still plenty of pace in this race, perhaps. We might see someone near the end, near the back of the field, maybe someone like Ryan or Padge, maybe pit onto the soft tyres. Go for a fastest lap. Points do count in the top 10, of course. Dayman is past Tucker. He's up into 9th place, but he is on older tyres, so Tucker may still have a chance of getting 9th place back. Dayman's penalty is not going to help his case to try and get P9. Lap 23 of 33, 10 laps left in this race. No crashes, no moments of controversy in this race, just pure racing. A lot of side-by-side action, especially between 3rd place Prev and 2nd place Kemen's. The two Aston Martins staying out longer on their first stop, which is why they have a good 5-lap advantage in terms of tyre wear on Ross and Kemen's. Mr. Wiggles is on the charge. He's on a new set of tyres and has 10 seconds now to gain on Kemen's if he wants to get into the top 4. Have a look at the penalties. So that guy's actually on 6 seconds. I thought he was on 3 seconds, but he's actually on 6. And as it stands, that's going to drop him off the podium behind Kemen's in the Red Bull. So that guy's podium hopes tonight could be hanging by a thread unless some other people get some time penalties. Blue's on 5 seconds, Padge is on 3, Dayman 6 and Ripley also on 6. And Ross is in the pits. We were not expecting a pit stop here from Ross, but he has forced a new set of soft tyres on the car. He gets overtaken by Wiggles because Wiggles pitted a good few laps ago and had that advantage of fresh rubber. But Ross is now on a set of soft tyres, and the gap to the leader is 18 seconds, minus that 6-second penalty. Means that the gap to the lead is about 13 seconds here for Ross. That is definitely doable in the next 9 laps. This race has just got very interesting. As it stands, Prev is winning this race on time penalties. He is ahead of his teammate by 1.3 seconds at the moment. Clements is on the podium, but has the worst tyres on the grid in terms of tyre wear. So he is going to be under the most pressure right now. Mr. Wiggles on a new set of rubber, and Ross just setting a new set of soft tyres on his car. That is really going to help him in this final stint. Ross, no doubt, the only one out there on the red mark soft tyres, is going to probably set the fastest lap this time around. And he's already taken a 1.5 seconds out of our race leader on that last lap. He's doing exactly what he needs to if he wants to win this race. But he will need to overtake 3 cars to do it. This race is getting very interesting with 8 laps left. That guy leads on track, but Prev leads on penalties. Clements here is getting close to the back of Prev again, within 1.5 seconds. Clements knows that that guy has 6 seconds of time penalties, so the onus is now on Clements to try and push as much as he can to the back of Prev and try and get that DRS. Wiggles is closing up to the back of Clements, and Ross is closing up to the back of Wiggles. Was not perhaps expecting Ross to pit there, but he has done. Thought it was worth it. Comes across the line to finish lap 26, and it probably will be a new fastest lap. A 1:18.5 for him. Lap 26 of 33. That guy leads by 5.2 seconds on his teammate. However, he has a 6-second time penalty, which means he is going to lose the win as it stands. Prev is going to win in the Aston Martin. Clements is 1.8 seconds behind Prev and is fighting hard to get within 6 seconds of our race leader. He's currently 7 seconds behind. Mr. Wiggles is closing on the top 3, but he has Ross closing that gap to him. Both of these two, Wiggles and Ross, are homing in on the top 3. Question is, when will they arrive at the back of Clements' Red Bull? Bit of a twitch there coming out of turn 1 for Clements. That's going to set him back a big chunk of time from Prev. I think he lost close to a second there. Here comes Ross. Has the DRS, rear wing open, reduces the drag on the car, makes it faster in a straight line. Gives you a massive tool to either gain up to the back of the car in front of you or overtake him on the straight. These two definitely gaining on the field. The question is it going to be enough? Ross running wide and a time penalty for Ross. Critical moment in this race. Has that ruined Ross's opportunity at either a race win or a podium? Red light flashing at the back of his car indicating he's low on ERS. He does get past Wiggles. Wiggles doesn't put up much of a fight. Wiggles possibly hoping that he can tag on the back of Ross's car as Ross used those soft tyres to close that gap to the top three. That guy leads by 5.5 seconds now. He is close to pulling a 6-second gap, which he needs if he wants the race win. But his teammate is no pushover. Prev is a great racer. Ross again wide, this time at turn 7, and a bit of a slide at turn 8. Ross is pushing like crazy right now. Is he pushing too much? Is he going off the track too many times and risking getting penalties? Our featured driver is the one to watch right now. And has that time penalty ruined his race here this evening? That guy now 5.9 seconds in the leads with a few laps left. We said that Prev is leading this race on time penalties. Could that guy shock us all late on by pulling that 6-second gap that he needs ahead of his teammate? Prev and Cummins, as it stands, will be on the podium, but still 4 laps left, and Ross is trying desperately to close that gap to Cummins. The gap was 5 seconds last lap. It's now 4.1. He is gaining at a rate of knots, but is he gaining fast enough? That guy is now 6 seconds ahead of his teammate. It is going to be super close. These next 4 laps are nail biters. One mistake, one bit of oversteer through a corner, it could cost them the race win. Cummins' job now is elementary. Even if Ross overtakes him, stay within 3 seconds of him. He cannot let Wiggles past him though, otherwise his podium chances are gone. As for Prev, he is aiming to be within 6 seconds of his teammate, that guy, for the race win. Ross's chance at a race win is likely to be gone now, but his hopes at a podium are still very much alive if he can hook it up in the next few laps. Mr. Wiggles will be hoping he can follow Ross onto the back of Cummins, overtake Cummins, and try and get on the podium himself. These top 5 all having a different race right now, a different result to aim for, but still trying their absolute hardest. Gap out front was 5.8, now up to 6.1. Padge is ahead of Ryan up into 7th after Ryan's earlier pit stop, but Padge with that time penalty is going to lose out on 7th to Ryan at the end of the race. Ross has closed that gap this lap now to 2.2 seconds. He is within striking distance of Cummins for 3rd. Gap out front is 6.3 seconds, and Cummins has got a time penalty. This is good news for Mr. Wiggles. All he needs to do is stay within 3 seconds of both Ross and Cummins. But now Wiggles with the time penalty. No one wants the podium here tonight. That guy and Prev definitely will both be on the podium, bar a couple of mistakes. Ryan is now past Padge for 7th. Ross has been thrown a lifeline, with Kemmets getting that 3-second time penalty. This is now the battle for third. Kemmets and Ross. Mr. Wiggles not too far behind either. Kemmets goes a little bit wide at 3. Ross with the traction out of 4 with the DRS. Looking like a done move. Down the inside into the braking zone. He is ahead. Ross taking custody of third place and could be on the podium. I think it's too late for Ross now to gain to Prev. He's 3 seconds behind with a couple of laps left. The real question though is, can Kemmets stay ahead of Mr. Wiggles? Mr. Wiggles pushing hard now. Ripley being lapped by this trio of drivers. Oh, and just spinning off the track there, Ripley. What's happened to Kemmets? He's lost it as well. Maybe possibly distracted by Ripley's ghosted car there, but very unfortunate if that is the case for Kemmets. He's down to 5th, but still a decent result for him if he were to finish that way. Eyes now turn to Prev, and that guy needs to stay 6 seconds ahead of his teammate. Of course, he is 7 seconds. Race win looking that guy's at the moment. Of course, what that guy doesn't need to do is get another time penalty. That would send him down to 2nd place. Just 1.5 sectors left. A handful of corners for that guy. The Aston Martin started 5th and 6th on the grid. That's a bit of a mistake. I wonder if it's going to cost him some time on his teammate. It has cost him a couple of tenths, but that's all it has. These two Aston Martins started 5th and 6th respectively. They're up into 1st and 2nd, and they're going to be on the top step of the podium. It's maximum points tonight for Aston Martin as that guy comes across the line to win under no one's radar, perhaps. Prev comes home to take a glorious 2nd and only misses out on the race win by 1 second. Ross comes through to finish 3rd. Wiggles 4th place. Kemmets across the line. He will finish eventually with a donut in 5th place. Flew has gone under the radar tonight. Not really battled too many people. Had the 5-second time penalty, and that will keep him in 6th place. Brian has some damage in the middle stint of this race, so he had to pit an extra time to fix that. Had it not been for that, possibly could have been higher than 7th. Hadge, decent result for him. He started in 11th. He's now in 8th. Where he finishes, Dayman in the first Mercedes will be taking home 2 points for Mercedes. Tucker in the second. McLaren taking home an extra point for the constructors. Ripley missing out on points, and Hyper with that early DNF in the pits. No crashes, no safety cars, no controversial incidents to go through. Lots of wheel-to-wheel racing, and crashing across the line comes Dayman in 9th. Wow. You've seen firsthand this evening how time penalties can change a race. That's a lovely podium celebration. We've seen firsthand how penalties can change a race, how damage can change a race, how even if you're in the top 3, doesn't mean you're going to finish that way after qualifying. That guy in Prev, mighty races from Aston Martin tonight. 5th and 6th on the grid, finishing 1st and 2nd. Flew, nice race from him as well, up 3 places, up into 6th. As we said, did go under a little bit under the radar, but decent result from him. So our championship leader Ross, he was ahead by 5 points tonight. he's extended his gap to Ryan. As for driver of the day, well, I think it has to go to both Aston Martin boys. I would definitely give it to that guy on his own, but he did get the time penalties. Prev kept it clean, and in the end, only a second off the race win. Prev can be mighty proud with himself there. So, drivers of the day, both Aston Martin boys. Great result for them. Excuse me. Fastest lap goes to Ross. Extra point there for him, which will help him in his hunt for the championship this season. A shorter stream than normal, with the short quali instead of the full quali this evening, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for the 3 new follows and for the follow yesterday as well. Appreciate that on the channel. Hope you guys are really enjoying the racing here on IIRL. And don't forget, there's 3 more streams this week. Thursday night for Assist Tier 1. Saturday for Assist Tier 2, Saturday for F2, sorry. And Sunday night for Assist Tier 2. So thank you to everyone who's been in the chat. Thank you to all the drivers, of course, who took part. And we'll see you on Thursday night on this channel.